One of the biggest surprises in my healing journey was discovering that understanding something doesn't automatically free you from it. For years, I thought awareness was the goal. If I understood why I reacted a certain way, I assumed healing would naturally follow. If I knew where the wound came from, then surely I should be able to move forward. I treated insight like completion. In my mind, once God showed me the root, my responsibility was simply to respond better. That became my internal dialogue. You know better now, so do better. The problem with that was that understanding what happened to me wasn't changing how tightly I was still holding it. I think that's where many of us get stuck. We gain clarity about our story. We understand the family dynamics. We recognize the wounds. We can identify the patterns. We know why we struggle with certain fears, reactions, or insecurities. But even with all of that understanding, something still feels stuck. Looking back, I realized it wasn't because I lacked insight. It was because I was still trying to manage what God was asking me to release. I remember sitting in a counseling session, explaining everything God had been showing me. Honestly, I sounded pretty healthy. I could identify the roots of my reaction. Could explain where they came from. I could connect all of the dots between my childhood experiences and my present struggles. I remember saying something along the lines of, I know why I react this way now. I just need to respond better. I'll never forget what the counselor said next. She looked at me and gently said, you're still trying to heal the same way you survived, alone. Those words landed. I felt something tighten in my chest, not because I disagreed, but because I knew she was right. For most of my life, strength had meant figuring things out on my own, managing them, containing them, and carrying them quietly. Even in healing, I was approaching growth the same way I approached survival. I wanted healing to be neat. I wanted growth without exposure. I wanted renewal without discomfort. I was treating healing like another problem to solve rather than a place to yield. Not long after that conversation, I was driving with my dad. During the drive, he started sharing how much it hurt him when his advice sometimes seems unwelcomed. As he spoke, I felt something familiar happening inside of me, the tightening of my chest, the urge to smooth the conversation over, the desire to keep everything comfortable and stable. Normally, I would have done what I had always done. I would have softened the moment, changed the subject, or carried the discomfort quietly. But this time, something was different. Without rehearsing it, I told the truth. I told him that I valued his words more than he realized, but that receiving them was difficult because I needed them years earlier. I needed them when I was young, scared, and trying to make sense of life without guidance. I explained that when advice came now, it often touched the grief of what wasn't available back then. And as the words left my mouth, I realized I wasn't trying to control the conversation anymore. I wasn't trying to manage his response. I wasn't trying to protect the atmosphere. I was simply telling the truth. What happened next actually surprised me. My father didn't defend himself. He didn't explain. He didn't try to justify the past. He simply said, I didn't know. I should have been there. I'm sorry. That apology didn't erase history. It didn't suddenly remove the consequences of what our family had lived through. But something shifted inside of me. For years, I had mistaken restraint for maturity. I thought healing meant staying composed. I thought strength meant carrying things quietly. What I didn't understand was that I was still holding the wound in place. Renewal didn't begin because the past changed. Renewal began because I finally stopped preserving it. Later, as I reflected on that experience, I found myself thinking about Hannah. Scripture says she poured out her soul before the Lord. What stands out to me is that her circumstances hadn't changed when she walked away. She still didn't have the answer she had been praying for. Yet scripture says she was no longer downcast. Something shifted before her circumstance did. Why? Because she stopped containing what she had been carrying. And I think that's where renewal often begins. Not when we understand the wound, not when we can explain the story, and not when we have all the answers. Renewal begins when we stop holding everything together and finally release it into the hands of God. That's what God was teaching me. Renewal didn't begin when I understood the past. It began when I stopped holding it in place. Before we go, we just want to say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. And thank you for trusting us enough to step in this process with you. From all of us at Trauma Uncovered, we're very grateful that you've joined us. And we're honored to be able to walk this journey with you. If this space has already felt meaningful to you, we'd love for you to stay connected. You can subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of the upcoming segments. And you can follow us on all of our social media pages. All of the links are in the description and comments below. We will be sharing encouragement scriptures, the reflection questions from this week, and details about our live conversations there. We hope to see you soon.